Hello, my name is Georgia Weedle, and today I will be talking about the history of zero waste living. Before talking about the history of zero waste living, it's super important to understand what zero waste living is all about. And for the most part, it is about eliminating the use of single-use plastic goods and replacing those single-use plastic goods with reusable solutions. This mantra is expanded to most other goods that we use in our day-to-day lives, such as straws and plastic bags. Simply stated, plastic is the main enemy of people who wish to live a zero-waste lifestyle. For example, people who want to live a zero-waste lifestyle would like to see supermarkets change from those depicted on the left and see more supermarkets depicted like the ones on the right. Pollution is pushing people towards living a zero-waste lifestyle. In 2015 alone, 10 million tons of plastic were sent to our landfills, while only a couple million tons of plastic were being recycled, making plastic take up about 25% of waste in our landfills annually, which has led to the contamination of not only our drinking water but our oceans. When plastic contaminates our ocean, it kills a lot of sea life, and the sea life that manages to survive ends up with undigestible plastic in its system, meaning that the seafood we eat is also contaminated with plastic. So not only does our drinking water contain plastic, our food does as well. This plastic problem in our oceans is only predicted to get worse. Scientists have predicted that by 2025, there will be about 150 million tons of plastic debris in our oceans. All of the damage done by plastic has been done in a relatively short period of time, as plastic hasn't even been around for a full 100 years yet. Before the invention of plastic, there were many different ways in which humans stored their goods. Many goods today utilize plastic, so to keep things simple when looking at the history of zero-waste living, I'll be looking at one good in particular, the water bottle. Beginning in 4000 BC, people carried around heavy urn-shaped pottery. These water containers pictured on the top left require about 2 people to transport. During the medieval era, people created an easier way to transport their water. The water skin was mostly used by knights to carry and store their water during battles. They were often made out of animal hides, hence the name water skin. In the 1800s, bottles to store alcohol were made out of clay and stoneware, which was lighter than the pottery made in 4000 BC and lacked the animal hide used during the medieval era. During the 1900s, farmers revolutionized the glass bottle by using it not only to store water, but to store other goods like grains. Advocates for the zero-waste community would like to see a shift back to the glass bottle for storing goods. Glass-type containers are what most of the zero-waste stores use to sell their products in. So the next time a shopper comes in, they simply just bring back the glass container, fill it up, and purchase the same good. So what is the main difference between the 1900s and today? Well, many speculate that the rise of plastic is due to World War II. In the United States, during World War II, production was very high in order to keep up with the needs of the military, which employed millions of Americans during this time. In order to avoid another depression like the one in 1920, after the end of World War II, production shifted from the military to produce more for the consumer. Producers needed a cheap material in order to produce goods for the average American citizen and for the average consumer abroad. The newly invented plastic was a good way that many producers went. They made everything from plastic wrap to cover food to toys for children, Tupperware being all the rage in the 1960s for the average American housewife. Plastic was the best option for producers for a couple of reasons, the most important being that it was really cheap for producers. Going back to our example from the last slide, in 2013, the cost in the United States to produce a water bottle was about 2 cents. Another reason for plastic being so popular was its pliability. As I mentioned earlier, plastic was used to create everything from flexible plastic wrap to rigid children's toy and Tupperware. The last main reason for plastic's popularity with producers was its convenience. Plastic was another byproduct of producing petroleum and was another way for big oil companies to make a quick buck. The production of plastic after World War II to today is exponential, with a staggering 30 million tons of plastic being produced in 2014 alone. While the plastic bag was all the rage in the decades after World War II, today, lawmakers are pushing back on the production of plastic by placing bans on single-use plastic goods, probably the most notable of which being the plastic bag. While the banning of plastic bags may seem like a new move towards zero-waste living, it is indeed an old move. First appearing in the United States during the 1990s in Nantucket, Massachusetts. This was only 28 years after the plastic bag was first marketed to the public. While this was a great first step in the United States, not many cities followed suit until later in the 2000s, being mostly in 2018 and 2019 that cities like San Francisco and other cities in California placed a ban on plastic bags, making the United States far behind in comparison to many other countries around the world, with the first total ban on plastic bags coming from Bangladesh in 2002, with Rwanda, Kenya, China, Taiwan, and Macedonia shortly placing their own bans on plastic bags. Some countries such as Cameroon, Kenya, and South Africa take the ban so seriously that they have even added jail time as a punishment for using plastic bags. In the United States, a lot of lobbying is done by large oil producers and is the main cause to why a large-scale ban is not in place throughout all of the United States. As in 2019, only 130 cities in the U.S. have ordinances against plastic bags, many cities just placing a fee on using plastic bags instead of an outright ban against them. While it may not be much, it is still a step in the right direction for zero-waste living. The graphic to the right shows places in the United States where steps are being made towards limiting the use of plastic bags. Dark blue states are where some kind of policy has actually been enacted against the plastic bags. I know that in my city of Yorba Linda, a store charges a 10-cent charge in order to use a plastic bag, or shoppers can bring their own reusable bags in for free, or purchase from the store's reusable bag options for around $1. Light blue states are where policies have been declared but not yet enacted by the government. The gray states are where no policy has been made or enacted, which is a large portion of the United States. To end my presentation about the history of zero-waste living, I will provide a real-world example of a zero-waste living community. Komatsu is a small town in Japan, and in the 1990s, the people there wanted to make their town a zero-waste living community. And by 2003, they had a goal to reach zero waste by 2020. With a town of only 1,500 people, the locals sort their trash into 45 different categories. In addition to that extensive recycling program, residents also avoid products that cannot be disposed of easily. Not only does the town recycle as much as they can, they also have secondhand stores in which all the items are free to promote the reuse of items like clothes and other household objects. This little town has drawn so much curiosity from outsiders that the town receives about 2,000 visitors a year, who stay in the town's zero-waste hotel. All of the hotel supplies come from eco-conscious brands. While this town is small and is a very small fraction of the Earth's population, it proves that zero-waste living can be done if enough people want to commit to the lifestyle. Thank you so much for listening to the history of zero-waste living. I hope you learned something new about zero-waste living and sustainability.